Hey there, welcome to saas.unbound podcast. I'm your host, I'm Nadeina, head of growth at saas.group. So you'll acquire buying wonderful SaaS businesses to take them to the next level. And here I chat with inspiring founders and experts to get an inside scoop on how they made their business success. And today with me is Niklas, founder of Secure. And we're doing this live in Hamburg. And I'm super excited for it. And about your story too. So welcome. And let's start with your background.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So my background is pretty straightforward. I'm basically a lawyer that taught himself to code or learned how to code during high school. And then I worked for different law firms and the legal department of Amazon. And I saw things there that were pretty inefficient, pretty analog. And since I knew how to code a little bit, I saw that there's really a lot of room for efficiency gains and room for automation. And that's basically how I got the idea for Secure.
I saw things. Well, that made you think that something needs change. All right. So what was, when did you think that this could become a product? Like, it's one thing to think, hey, maybe some of the processes need to change. It's another thing to kind of go out and build something for it.
Mm-hmm. I think what they don't teach you in law school is to think in processes and to think in results. They just teach you how to assess a situation from a legal point of view and then, do a legal analysis of this and then present your result. But they don't train you to think in what does a business really want or why should they really care about this. And I think programming taught me to think like that. So when I was working at Amazon, that was in 2017. So 1 year before the GDPR got into effect. And the GDPR basically said that all companies that have more than 20 employees need to appoint a data protection officer. And then there's a law that says what this data protection officer has to do. And I read this law and I thought, okay, like at least 9 of these 10 things can be productized. Like they need to train a company or employees of a company in what they can and cannot do. So what would a lawyer normally do? He would, or a head of legal do, he would set up meetings with the employees and give a PowerPoint presentation or so. So that's like a very, very low hanging fruit for automation, and basically all other things I also saw how they could be automated. And that's how we started. And then we basically also started as a consulting business, even though we had a product in mind, but we bootstrapped and we then spoke with our customers, conducted a lot of customer interviews and asked them, what do you want? And then the product kind of naturally progressed. I started to think even bigger and not only privacy automation, but all other things, compliance. And one thing we realized is that there's huge synergies between different compliance frameworks or different things that companies have to do or comply with. So again, a very low hanging fruit is there's huge synergies between data protection and information security. And that was where we then kind of naturally progressed towards.
Okay, I see. That makes sense. And you keep saying there were co-founders with you at the early stages at least. How did you meet your co-founders? Were they working with you, old buddies?
So I had one initial co-founder that I met at a Lions Club conference in Japan. And then we had 2 others, like late co-founders who basically bought themselves into the company. And I met those 2 at my MBA. But I'm now the last man standing.
Okay, all right. More resilience. That's needed, and we'll get to it. But all right. Well, you said you started as a consultancy, and that's kind of a very common route. At least that's what I noticed. At what point you started actually productizing what you were doing, and like, what did you have? What was good enough of a product to kind of advertise it as a product, not as a consultancy?
Yeah. So first of all, I wouldn't do that again. So I wouldn't go that route again because when you start, I mean, we wanted to build a product from the get-go, but we didn't raise money to build it or so. And we thought, okay, let's figure out what the customers really want. But you start building up a lot of operational debt, so to speak, because you acquire the wrong customers. I mean, even though you tell them we are building a product and we are building a software and this is what you're buying at a later date, you typically win customers that actually don't want software, they want consulting. And they get used to it, and they get used to just shoot you emails for whatever problems they have. And they're paying a flat rate, basically a subscription. To get rid of this cost us at least, I would say, 2 years in maturity and some churn. But this was good churn because it actually increased our gross margin a lot. But still, like, I think we learned a lot during that time, but it rather dragged us down. A lot of investors are only looking at what's your growth rate and how much ARR did you accumulate. And we could actually sell recurring or generate recurring revenue because companies put me as their data protection officer. And so I had some obligations to monitor what they're doing and stuff like this. So they continuously needed a data protection officer. So that was the ARR that we started with.
Right.
But a lot of customers then, they didn't, I think, maybe buy into the vision of we actually want to build a product, and I don't want to do that on my own forever. That's why I even started this company. And I think once they get used to you just reply to their emails and you can jump on a call with them whenever they have a problem. That's when the problems start. And I think that's also a trap that a lot of other startups, including us, fall into. And I wouldn't do this again. I would bootstrap again, but not like this, probably.
Okay. Yeah, we had a conversation actually about, having a part of service added to a product with another founder. Maybe you're familiar with them. They're also a German company, Purdue. They're working with OKRs. And basically what they shared is they kept, because they're also bootstrapped, they kept that service part for a while because it kind of allowed them, first, they charged quite a bit for it. So, and the required companies to buy a bundle of that of those consultancy hours, so they would get a bit more of a runway. But basically, what it was given them mostly is just insights from customers. They even said, like, customers were paying us to do product development. So yeah, what you still learned quite a lot from your customers. What was maybe the revelation that you got from one of your customers or from some of them that really pushed you in the right direction, like where to build this product?
So first, I think you can also have these insights by setting up other touch points with the customers, like customer success-led onboarding and like reference calls and stuff like this. But that was, you didn't even ask this question, but still wanted to give you my ideas about it. And second, so a lot of customers, more mature companies, they think about the cost of inaction. So if you can show or prove to them that not getting your product will hit them in the wallet, then they're more likely to buy. And I think we learned that from speaking with, we typically focus on SMBs or a little bit larger SMB customers, so mid-market SMBs. But we didn't really even pitch for them. They knocked at our door, but we got some enterprise customers, and then you sell to a more mature buying persona who really knows their pain. And they were talking about the cost of inaction, and that was basically what then we realized, okay, that's how we need to sell this product.
Were there any surprises about who is buying the product and who actually ends up using them?
That was also something I needed to learn, that the buying persona is typically a business dude, and they want to see crisp dashboards, they want to see efficiency gains, KPIs and stuff like this. And then the user is typically, in our case, either like a legal or technical dude, and they want to see what everyday problems the product actually, how the product makes their life easier every normal day. So you basically need two pitches, and you need to know who you're pitching to. But in the end, the guy who makes the decision is the more relevant one to pitch to, I would say. So you need to convince both, but in a lot of cases, a lot of companies are not so good. So the management guy just makes the decision.
Yeah, it's just top down. You're right. So how did you adjust your go-to-market to it?
So we adjust our go-to-market all the time. We have a lot of reflection calls and analyze, and we track even for the customers we don't win, like why did they go with a competitor, or did they decide to solve the problem internally or without a software or whatever. We analyze all that. We go into a lot of discovery calls with even the customers that turn us down if they're so nice to give us this information. And then we strategize and think, okay, what does that mean for us, and how can we adjust our go-to-market accordingly? Okay,
all right. And you've been bootstrapping at least up until, I think, beginning of this year.
No, we raised our round in 2022.
Okay, all right. Why did you decide to do that?
To bootstrap or to raise a round?
To raise a round.
Basically, all our competitors were raising a round. They had a lot more cash for marketing activities, for R&D, and we still, from a bootstrapping point, we still achieved product leadership in DACH, which I think was impressive. But we saw, okay, now they have all this money, so they can easily outpace us. So we also need to raise money. Otherwise, our product will at some point be a lot inferior to theirs. And then why should our customers stay with us? So that's why we decided to raise a round.
Oh, interesting. Also quite, a common topic that we discuss, because, well, there are so many bootstrap companies that are clearly very successful, and some of them decide to raise a round for that very reason, because, well, how do you stay
relevant?
Yeah, not really. No, this is not really that case. But how do you stay calm when, like you said, everyone else is raising? Like, are we still relevant in 1 year? Can we still, outpace them? Or what will be our value against, all that money that they raised? And, again, just having an opportunity to talk to so many founders, I think it's very much a 50-50 kind of situation. Some, use the money wisely, and some decide not to do it because, well, it's tough, but they really focus on the product and they double down on customer success. But after you raised a round, how did it affect you guys?
So I think we were back then not really equipped to handle that much money. We didn't have the financial processes in place, and we basically burned through the money too quickly, and then we had to go through a restructuring. I also talked about this in my last podcast, so I don't want to because now the restructuring is over, and I want to focus on the future more. But let's cut it short. And in short, there were a lot of lessons learned, and after this, for 1 year, we didn't have any money to burn because we used this to the bridge round that we had to raise to pay off our debt. And then it was basically back to bootstrapping mode. And even with that, we turned this around to a huge success growth case. And we're having top of the art KPIs again. And now I think we also know how we could effectively put money to use if we had some. And that's why we're in the process of raising a Series A now.
Okay, so you're back on track. That's perfect.
Yeah.
But I feel like, yeah, the emotional part of just like being bootstrapped and feeling that maybe we're missing something is such a huge thing. But in your case, you went, like you said, you went through restructuring and back to bootstrapping. And again, some people say that it's not even possible. Like you never go from having a huge sum of money to being scrappy successfully. You guys did that. But yeah, what did it take and how did it affect you?
So, I mean, obviously, when something like that happens, everyone will look at every penny that you spend, and that teaches you to come back to capital efficiency. And yeah, then we had to really set up very, very good financial processes very quickly. And now they're in place. And I think that's why stuff like this will not happen again.
Okay. But I mean, what for you personally, because, like you said, you're the last man standing, your co-founders left and, with this whole situation, how did you handle it emotionally, mentally?
I mean, I always believe that we can turn this around, and I just worked relentlessly towards this goal. And I mean, we also restructuring means we laid off a lot of people, of course, as well. And the remaining team, yeah, we just moved closer together, and everyone was committed to win. We just focused on that and reassured each other that it would work.
How big is the team now?
20.
20. Okay. Yeah, that's
So
it.
20 like in the internal team, and then we have some external developers and some other service partners. But so in total, it's maybe 30. But yeah.
Okay. Well, I know it was a very kind of bumpy ride and emotional journey for you, and you found your way to spirituality even. So maybe let's get to it.
Yeah. So first of all, disclaimer: I'm a science nerd, and I didn't want to even become a lawyer in the first place. I wanted to study either computer science or biology, and I was not, and still am not, religious or anything, and I didn't grow up with spirituality. Like, my family is not really spiritual. My grandmother was very religious, but other than that, that's it. And I even thought that everything that cannot be scientifically proven is bullshit. And I thought spirituality is mainly morally questionable business model to take money from like weak people. And I mean, there are these phone hotlines that cost like €5 per minute. And I thought, okay, they're just trying to keep these people on the line and stuff, so I thought it was basically fraud. Then I married a Chinese woman, and I spent some time in Asian countries, and I realized that a lot of Asian peoples have a lot more spiritual depth than we do. And yeah, I tried out, because I'm generally open-minded, and I tried out some like traditional Chinese medicine stuff, and a lot of this I could see that it positively affected my well-being. So either it's placebo or something that Western medicine doesn't like believe in, but I could see experience firsthand that it affected my well-being. And yeah, that was how I think kind of opened up a little bit more to that. And then 2017, I went to Burning Man for the first time in the US. And Burning Man is a very spiritual event, I would say. And I went there with the mindset that this is probably going to be the greatest party that I will ever go to. And it was, because Burning Man tends to be what you want it to be. And I wanted a big party, and it was a big party. Okay. Then I came home, and I realized that all the other, I mean, it was a great party, but all the other stuff I experienced there that I was not even looking for, like yoga and workshops and stuff like this, and all the connections with people that I made, they resonated with me a lot more. And they really meant more to me than just this party. And this was when I maybe started to respect spiritual people more and got even more open-minded to that. And then another puzzle piece is that I'm a member of EO, Entrepreneurs Organization, and that's basically a club of entrepreneurs, and you meet with fellow entrepreneurs once per month, and you update each other on how is it going in business, personal, and family. And personal also means health and mental health and so on. And it basically should, or what EO basically is trying to teach you is that you can grow one of these parts of your life to the disadvantage of the other parts of your life, but this is not very sustainable. And if you want to be a successful founder, this will not, probably most of the times, not happen overnight. It will, for most of the companies, takes a decade to really become successful and really make an impact. So you should try to develop healthy and more sustainable habits. And that's what, so strive for a balance in these three areas. And that's what EO tries to teach you. And when I started with that journey, I thought that the personal aspect just means treating yourself from time to time, going to a spa or having a nice steak or something like that.
Which is also nice, right?
Which is also nice. And I did that, but and also it helped me short term, but it was, sometimes it felt kind of dull and so, okay, I'm going to this nice Michelin star restaurant. Great. I have a nice time, but is it really, on the long term, is it really making me happy? And sometimes it felt a little bit empty and that it was not making me happy. And like, it's not about making money so I can spend more money and go to nice restaurants and stuff like this. And then coming back to spirituality, I had my spiritual awakening, so to speak, in a rather funny way. My best friend wanted to treat me with a funny Airbnb stay. So he booked a Mongolian yurt for us in Bavaria in someone's garden, because we were in that area. We went there and it was funny. And this was owned by a guy who called himself a shaman. And he asked, he was super, super friendly, super nice. And he asked us if we were open for like a shamanic journey with him. And since we were there anyway, and he was so friendly, and we were open-minded, we said, yeah, sure, why not? And we went in this yurt with him, and he brought in some musical instruments, and we should just sit down, cross-legged, close our eyes, and breathe naturally. And then he started playing music, and we were not under any substances. We were completely sober and so on. And then after some time, when he started playing his music, I started seeing some images in my head. And long story short, the longer he played, the more vivid these images became. And when he's started playing his last song, basically, it was like I closed my eyes. It was like I put on a VR goggle. It was like so fucking real. It was crazy. And that experience kind of, opened. So that was like when I full force opened myself up for this spirituality or my spiritual side. And then I basically started reading books about this. And again, I thought that these will probably be like hocus pocus and very dull. But I found out that spirituality is mainly about knowing yourself and finding out what your true will is, and then developing through like meditation and mental strength. So developing mental strength through meditation and self-reflection and stuff like this. So to know yourself, and also develop the mental strength to realize what you really want and then make this happen. And I have to say that since I do that a lot, my life has become much more fulfilling. I've been able to manage my stress much better. And I probably give even less fucks about what other people think about me. And yeah, I think I'm more in line with my true self. And I could only recommend this to everybody.
That's perfect. That's really interesting. I mean, I think in a way we all kind of want to find that, but we don't really know how. Like, for example, you started talking about meditation, and I've been reading about it and thinking about it for a while. But then, every time you read about meditation, it's like, oh, you have to do this and that, and you really have to free your mind. And every time I tried, I would be like, oh my God, how do you free that? It's like such a mess. There are so many things. There is no way to free that. And you kind of end up disappointed. And then I talked to a guy who's actually a mindfulness teacher and also yoga teacher. And that's what he told me. Like, it's not about really calming your mind and making sure there is nothing there. It's making sure that what's there is something that you really want. And I thought that was really great. Like, just in a nutshell, just breaking down all this bullshit about like what meditation should be. Still cannot sit still, but my meditation is running. So I know you run too.
Mine is also running, mine is cooking, but yeah, that's what he said is exactly right. I think some people are trying so hard because they don't get what mindfulness really means. They they think they need to go to some retreats and have some trainer teach them how this actually works, but it's actually about training your consciousness, because first realizing that there are different states of consciousness. Sleeping, you're not conscious, and then there are some things we do like in a very, very robotic state of mind, like driving, for example, or a lot of times also eating. And this is a good way to start. You eat 3 times a day, so why don't you stop before you put stuff in your face and ask yourself, what do I want to do now? Yeah, I'm hungry, so I want to eat. Okay, so how hungry am I? Medium hungry. Okay, then maybe I want to eat a medium-sized portion and not a double steakhouse burger or something like that. And if you do that, if you practice this 3 times per day, there's 3 times more where you're more conscious. And if you start from there, there's a lot of other things where you can just like stop and question, okay, what do I want to do now? Do I really want to do this, or do I really want to have this, or did I just see this on Instagram and so my subconsciousness feels that I need it, but does it really make me happy? One example, and I think there's a lot of things that make us do things, anxiety, social pressure, and whatever, but do we really need to act this way, or is it in line with who we really are? And if we ask this to ourselves a lot of times, I think that's what makes us happier.
Yeah, fascinating. Okay. Well, do you apply that to work too?
Yeah.
Okay. How?
Yeah. Before, so it's about avoiding conflict and not avoiding conflict. So I love harmony, and I want everyone to love each other, and I love everyone. And I always thought that if I'm nice to people and do something for them, karma will pay me back, and they will be nice to me. But I think this is not how the world works. And I'm not saying that you should be an asshole. I'm saying you should ask yourself, should I be treated this way? And is it fair? So first, if you know thyself, and even write down, who do I want to be? What do I want to do? And then you can always double check, okay, if I let this person treat me like this, is that in line with who I want to be and how I want to be treated? And if not, then I think you should go into conflict. And I've been avoiding conflicts for a very long time. And I think this was one of the things, or not, if not the thing that cost me the most money in my life, just avoiding conflict. And someone asked me once, why do you avoid conflicts? Yeah, because I love harmony and I want harmony. And then he asked me, but just because you don't say what needs to be said, is there harmony, or is there just a conflict that's unspoken? And that kind of was a huge realization for me. And that's when that also kind of goes into the same direction. If you know who you are, what you want, then you can also be tougher in negotiations, or you can just have made up your mind, and then you can also say what you want.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good trick. I think it really helps when and I totally agree. Like it's not karma. It's not going to work that way. Although it would have been nice, but
I still believe in karma, and I think you should do good, and at some point this will pay off.
Right. But I feel like the fact that we're always taught, you treat others how you want to be treated. Yes, but that also sometimes means saying the tough things and putting the boundaries and all that. And I think it applies to business too. Does it reflect in the company culture?
It does, yeah. We have a very, very direct feedback culture, and everyone loves that. And sometimes we have to force ourselves if we drift away a little bit, but we do that, and we do that very effectively. And it does reflect in the company culture.
And as far as I can see, I only saw one of your colleagues, but I assume you have more like international talent in the team. And when I joined saas Group, it was also very fascinating to just learn how different people from different cultures, and obviously like take into account their personalities, but still different cultures communicate differently. And I feel like what you just said, like being very upfront and being very direct, it's a very German thing. How do you make sure that, everyone kind of understands that this is done for clarity and making sure everyone knows what they're doing, and not because, hey, sometimes I want to be an asshole.
Yeah, we're explaining why we do this, and we're saying this that this is one of our values, and we want to live this value, and we have this because we want to achieve X, Y, Z, and then we also have trainings for this, like our head of HR or head of people and culture, how we call her. She does trainings for that and explains why we're trying to be direct and try to give direct feedback, also a lot of times in front of everyone, so everyone can learn from this.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, that must be helpful. Okay. Well, just, I have just a couple more questions. Now you're back on track and you're raising more money. And again, same question. Why raising more money? Because, you went back to bootstrapping. It's fairly successful. Why do you feel like there's pressure to grow faster?
I don't really feel the pressure to grow faster. I just want to grow faster. And I think that we're not collecting the value that we could, because we're lacking money for some marketing activities or for some, with only 2 sellers, we have added 2 million ARR this year, right? So, and we have built really, really nice go-to-market processes, and we just know if we add more people to this, or if we add more marketing spend, this will result in X amount of more customers. Then there's some product restraints we currently face that hold us back a little bit, and we just know exactly what we want to do with this money and where it will get us, and so it's just a wise idea to add money at this point.
Okay. Maybe the biggest learning from the last time you raised funding that you will take to this one and do things differently?
Yeah. So have a plan is the first thing. I think we didn't have a very good plan last time. Second, budget. We didn't have budgeting process in place. Then control. We didn't have controlling processes in place. And then don't experiment too much, but do more of the things that already work. Even though it's you might have some crazy ideas and so on, and sometimes, of course, you should do that. But if a thing is still working, then keep doing that. If you're passing one test, why not take the same test 200 times more until you start failing, and then maybe you have to adjust somehow. But and we knew what worked last time, but we still wanted to do 50 different things to maybe find out something that works even better or so. And then 49 things didn't work, but this one thing still was working. So why didn't we put all the money into the thing that was already working? That would have gotten us so much further.
Yeah, awesome. Well, just the last two questions, the usuals. First one is, out of this journey, what is the biggest win and the biggest failure?
I'll start with my biggest failure. Okay. And basically it's something that I said before. I avoided conflicts, internal conflicts, and I looked the other way for by just telling me, hey, I have enough stuff on my own plate, and this is already tough enough, and this is not my responsibility. So I sometimes also maybe looked the other way or put in the process too much or so, and didn't really dive into what's going on in somewhere else in the company. And avoiding conflict and not taking responsibility is the biggest failure on my journey. And then the other side of that, realizing that at some point, then taking charge and taking responsibility again, and assuming the CEO role of a company that was technically bankrupt and turning it around into a growth case without any money to burn, and a lot of things that needed to be done that were really, really painful. But I managed them, and I'm incredibly proud of the team and the superhuman achievements that they have done this year. And I think that was the biggest win in my life, at least from a business
Sounds good. Yeah, turn it around. That's great. So the last one is always about the hack. It can be anything, turning things around, raising funds, mental health, everything related to business, but also related to your personal journey.
So developing techniques to manage stress that are not related to drinking alcohol or stuffing fast food into your face. That's, I think, something that, or a skill that I needed to develop, because it's so easy, when you're stressed, just have a beer and eat a burger, and it works, right? You feel better after, but it's not sustainable.
For a couple of minutes,
that is a super important thing. Then know thyself, know what you really want, and stand up for yourself, and not let anyone fuck you over, like neither investors nor employees nor suppliers, but treat everyone like good and with a lot of respect. Just stand up for yourself. I think those are like two really, really important things. And
okay.
And one more thing, try to sell painkillers and not vitamins, because this will make your life a lot easier. And I know that's easier said than done, but still, that you should try to find painkillers to sell. And then if you found painkillers, this means you found a good market, right? You are solving a problem, you're solving a pain that customers actually have. And then this might be a blue ocean market in the beginning, but at some point there will come some sharks that smell the blood, and they will start turning the ocean red. And then some of these sharks might also not play by the rules, or, attack you in a kind of unprofessional way. And I think you should not react to that in the same manner, but you should keep a straight face, and because I think it will reflect badly on them and with customers. And I think your reputation is everything. And so don't let mud wrestlers drag you down. And here I want to send some regards to the south of Germany.
Okay, there was a story. Okay, can you share?
No.
Okay, all right.
The people will understand.
Okay, it will be off record. All right, well, very good. Those are a bit more like long-term hacks, but but still good to be reminded of. Well, thank you so much for sharing it. And, the story is incredible, and I'm really interested to see where you guys are going, and especially once you raise the funds. So let's do it again sometime.
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, and take care.